Hey, so a lot of people have been having issues with the new IMU wizard, so I'm just going to go over a quick, foolproof way to go about the IMU wizard, avoiding any potential issues or bugs with it. So first thing we're going to do is go to your app config, and then hit the dots in the bottom right, and read default settings, and right. If you do so, that's just going to remove anything in your app config, including IMU settings. So that's just reverting anything we might have done up to this point previously, messing with the IMU wizard. If you have values already in here, it can mess with it. So we're going to go ahead and make sure those are just the default values to start. And that won't remove your motor config, so no worries about that. Next, we're going to go to Start, set up IMU configurator. You go ahead and search for IMU. This step can sometimes be buggy. As you see, my frequency is reading 1000 when it should read 416 for the Fokker 3.1. You can mess with it if you want, or you can just leave it like now it's working. If you're having issues with it, just go ahead and save. We're going to fix that value later on manually anyways. Next, we're going to do gyroscope. And the orientation for your board doesn't matter here. All that matters is that all these values should stay relatively stable within 0.02 or so. If it's drifting one way or another, just be patient, give it a second, let it stabilize, and do not touch the board. And then once it's fairly stable, like it is right now, you can go ahead and hit save. Accelerometer, preferably you want to do this at some point. If you're just trying to get up and running, you don't have to stress about it. I plan to make a video on this later on. It's kind of hard to show with just a screen recording. So for now, we're just going to skip it. Don't stress about it too much. Now we're going to go to orientation. For this, you want to make sure your board is propped up in some way so that it's where you want level to be. So just completely level and flat. Using a milk crate helps, or just any kind of setup where it's propped up and totally stable. So for this, I'm just going to use my hands. You shouldn't use your hands, but I'm just going to use my hands to prop it up for now. And then once your value for this is stable, go ahead and hit save. This is going to freak out for a second. Let it stabilize. Once this is stable, go ahead and hit save. And then for the yaw offset, go ahead and just skip this. A lot of people have been having issues with this, so for now, I'm just going to recommend doing this manually, so go ahead and skip that. You can cancel out of that. Everything should be saved automatically, and we're going to go to the app config and make sure you are under IMU. Now go ahead and first, at the top, this sample rate, we're going to make sure this is what it needs to be. So if you got it to work in that first step, great. If not, a Fokker 3.1 should be 416 hertz. A 3.0 should be 400 hertz. If you have some other controller, just make sure you're using the right sample rate for that. And if you're not sure which Fokker you have, if you got it in the last few months, it's going to be 3.1. There's only, I think there were like 50 to 100 Fokker 3.0s in the world. If you're not sure, just use 416 hertz. Go ahead and scroll down. And we're going to go to IMU rotation yaw. So if you have a Fokker 3.1, this should be 90. If you have a 3.0, this should just be 0. So if you're in doubt, use 90. This next step, we're going to make sure everything's solid and then fix it if it's not. So head to RT data and make sure you're in this screen where you can see pitch and roll at the top, and bring your board to level. So if you bring your board nose up, the pitch should be changing to a positive value. And then if you go nose down, it should change to a negative value. And then if you roll it on the tire, heel to toe side, you should see the roll value changing. Few things that could be going wrong. If nose high is negative pitch for you, and then nose down is positive pitch, that means your yaw offset is inverted. That might happen if you have this as negative 90, if you try to do it within the wizard. So if that's the case, just make sure that's positive 90. Just offset it by 180 degrees, basically. And then if you are using the incorrect yaw offset altogether, you can find that changing the nose angle is actually affecting roll. and then rolling on the tire, heel to toe side, is changing pitch. So if you're getting that, that means you're using the incorrect yaw offset. If that's the case, if your current value is 0, go ahead and set it to 90. And then if it's currently 90, go ahead and set it to 0. So that just means you're mixing those up. And as long as nose high has positive pitch, nose down is negative pitch, and then rolling on the tire affects the roll, if that's all the case, then you should be good.